It's like so much easier said than done, but I feel like I'm slowly finding my way through this crazy storm that is like the newborn stage. Oh man. I had a feeling I wouldn't be able to make it far without. This video will probably be the hardest one I've done so far in this series of reality after birth, documenting and sharing very openly the behind the scenes that often doesn't get shared in detail on social media in terms of what it's really like to be a first-time parent in the newborn trenches. As of recording this, I am 9 weeks postpartum now. It's still a crazy ride. It's always ups and downs, just depending on whatever happens. It's very unpredictable, but overall, things have been going in an upward trajectory, kind of like the stock market, just like up and down, but like generally going up slowly. I just wanted to kind of share my own process that I'm literally having in real time, trying to figure out the right balance. And not even figure out, I feel like that phrase figure out is ironic because basically I'm trying to navigate, that's a better word, this balance of trying to learn something that is so momentous and so important, which is being a new parent. How do you take care of a newborn who has needs? And there's so much you don't know. So you don't know what you don't know. Kind of like you've never driven a bus. You have this huge responsibility on your shoulder because there's other people riding in the bus. You've never seen anyone drive a bus either. You just know it's dangerous. Like, you know, if you do one thing wrong, you could crash or something might happen to the bus. You just have no idea about anything about like the vehicle, how to drive a bus, and you feel this responsibility and this weight because you're like, I want to make sure these people on the bus are alive and enjoy their ride. Maybe that's a better one, like a tour bus, like like not just keeping you alive, but also like that you're happy and healthy. And that's kind of how I feel being a first-time parent, is like there's just so much you don't know, especially in this day and age when a lot of us, and this applies in our situation, you're not living in like close vicinity in like a village setting anymore. Like I keep thinking about how, oh, that's why people say it takes a village, because in these tribal societies or in other cultures, perhaps outside of the States, a lot of times you are living like literally with close family or people who are all like helping each other out. And so you witness growing up people raising kids and people feeding their babies and see how they do it and learn by exposure. I think I kind of just assumed it would come naturally because that's what people say. Like, oh, trust your mother instinct, trust your mom gut, your natural instincts. You know what to do with your baby like better than anyone else. So I think what I thought was, okay, once the baby's here, I'm just gonna go with the flow and like let my intuition lead. But the problem is it's not 100% that, and it's also not 100% the other side, which I think I've been leaning more towards because I haven't really felt that mom gut or that mom instinct, which is like over researching, being exposed to so many different resources on the internet, which is like a double-edged sword because I have learned a lot from the internet, from social media, but at the same time it can be so much too. 5 things to do to make sure your baby has healthy brain development. Make sure you do tummy time this way and don't do this mistake with your 2-month-old. You know, it's just like there's so many reels and videos that I'm getting targeted with. My entire Instagram and YouTube like feeds are all, they're geared to help me by giving me videos that would probably be like good information to know, but it's also just like too much if you don't know how to rein it in and like set boundaries with those. So that's kind of what I've been navigating, kind of finding that middle ground of, okay, now that I'm 2 months in, I'm like slowly building more confidence from experience. At the same time, there's good resources out there to learn from and social media platforms and content, but not to like overdo it and always be constantly like Googling or AI searching or, you know, all these things that I've been doing and staying up too late in the night doing because I just feel like I have no idea what I'm doing. When I was freshly postpartum, like that first month, I have a lot of self-compassion. It's only expected to feel that way in terms of being so overwhelmed, not having any experience with babies, not knowing what the heck I'm doing, why my baby's crying nonstop, not even knowing what reflux is or that even if that's a thing, and going through that whole long journey of reflux, which we're just coming out out of ish right now. Yeah, of course I would feel that way. It's okay that I felt that way. What I shouldn't be stuck in is being down on myself, being like, why can't I be happy and why can't I be okay? Like what all these other moms look like they are. Like one example I'll just share is I got re-triggered, was it yesterday or a few days ago, when I saw like on someone's Instagram story, they had this whole whiteboard and like checklist of things that they do every day with their newborn. And I'm just like, what the heck? Like I am barely surviving right now. Like how, like that's just another thing to make me feel like I should be doing and I'm falling behind if I'm not doing it. And I want to set up my child for success in life and health and happiness, and I don't want them in the future to look back and like resent that, oh, how come my mom didn't do this with me, or how come my parents didn't know this, you know, and all these other parents knew to do this with their kids. And or even for me having regrets of like, I wish I had known this but I just didn't. The main point I want to make in this video is I had a realization today that I feel like is really flipping the switch for me, and I really want to share for any other first-time parents out there or soon-to-be parents. I think what I would regret most, even more than the information that I'm probably still not understanding or learning or knowing how to do well, I just put that in quotes because everyone has a different style of raising their child, so I don't think there's necessarily like a right way of doing things, but I would definitely regret more just being so anxious that I missed out on connecting with my child and taking care of myself, taking care of my relationship with God, with myself, with my husband, with my child, especially because she's growing so quickly. Like she's only 2 months, but she looks so different and so much bigger and heavier. Yeah, just time just flies so quickly, and they say the years are short, but the days are long, and it's so, so true. And I actually wanted to share one of the seeds that were planted in this like realization journey was this social media post, ironically social media, again, double-edged sword, that I saw this morning, and it honestly brought me to tears. And I'm gonna try my best not to cry, but no guarantees, but I wanted to read it because it's really what convicted me of what I had already been feeling. This is from Wilder Beginnings on Instagram, and it's titled "An Apology to My First Baby for the Mom That I Was. I'm sorry that I spent more time tracking your naps than I did your smiles. I'm sorry I greeted so many of your wake-ups with frustration that you were awake instead of delight to see you again. I'm sorry I worried more about future problems like sleep regressions, developmental leaps, than present joy. I'm sorry I spent more time trying to train you than I did basking in the wonder of who you actually are. I'm sorry I cared more about how many black and white cards I showed you and not the flowers and clouds and trees I should have shown you instead. I'm sorry I held back because I was worried about creating bad habits when all you wanted and needed was to be held. I'm sorry I put more importance on the minutes you didn't nap that day than on the minutes you laughed. I'm sorry I didn't let you be you, wonderful, perfect, marvelous you. I'm sorry I didn't let me be me, the mother I so desperately wanted to be, and you so desperately deserved, because I was so worried about doing it right. I'm sorry it took me so long to figure this out, but I promise I will never forget it. Oh man. I had a feeling I wouldn't be able to make it far without... the hormones are real. still fluctuating and all over the place, but it just really resonated with me because that's been me. Like I've been so obsessively like trying to, it's just ironic because I'm like so desperate for sleep. And by the way, the only reason I can record this today is because I got more sleep last night. Thank the Lord. I've been so desperate for more sleep that I'm trying to like follow all these like programs and schedules and making sure she's like doing XYZ, but then why isn't this working? And am I doing it wrong? And what am I supposed to do in this situation? I have no idea. And am I supposed to like let her sleep or wake her up or help her back to sleep? And they're like, there's so many questions. I'm like trying so hard to like figure it out, and yet at the same time that is in itself robbing me of joy and peace because I'm trying to figure that out. And so like sleep deprivation is one thing of like I want more sleep, so I'm like desperately doing all these things, but then it's just like this vicious cycle perpetuating it because I'm desperately now obsessively googling, researching online, all of these things, trying all these things, losing my mind over it, asking people every question and being like a crazy person when I should be sleeping. Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense, but I just wanted to document this because that's the realization I've been coming to, and I feel like I really believe God's been speaking to me about that too. Kind of similar to my relationship with him, or even my relationship to my husband. If I'm just always googling like how to strengthen my marriage, how to, do date nights, how like rhythms for our marriage. If I'm just like always researching all of these things about marriage, I'm not spending time with the one I'm married to. Same thing with God. Like if I'm just always researching like morning routines with God and like seeing other people talk about God and hear sermons about God, but I don't actually know him intimately myself because I'm not taking the time to spend time with God, what's the point? Like I'm sacrificing relationship for the sake of research, like thinking that what's going to fix a problem is knowledge, when actually what I really need is just being relaxed and just knowing that I can trust God, I can trust his grace to cover me and to help me through this season and also many seasons to come when I feel very ill-equipped. I think of two anecdotes too from the Bible about Moses. He is like the prime example of like God sending him out on a big mission to go free the Israelites, and he's like, what the heck, I have no idea how to do this. Do you see how impossible it is? I stutter, I'm not a good speaker, all these things, but God equipped him as he went, which is scary. But as someone who likes to be prepared and likes to do my due diligence, Jesus being in the boat in the middle of the storm and the disciples are like, Jesus, like there's a huge storm, we are going to die, do you not see this? They are freaking out, and Jesus lovingly rebukes them and says, oh, you have little faith, like you've seen me do all these miracles, you've seen me come through, why are you freaking out? Don't panic, I'm with you. And he just quiets the storm. And so yeah, I don't know, it's like so much easier said than done, but I feel like I'm slowly finding my way through this crazy storm that is like the newborn stage and just being a first-time parent, feeling like, again, I have no idea what I'm doing. There was no orientation, there was no internship. I have never seen anyone take care of a baby in real life, and so I'm literally making it up as I go and relying on learning as I go. It's important to set boundaries in terms of all the research, all the learning, all the questions, and just rest, rest in God's grace and trust that he's got me and that he's given me everything that I need and he's equipping me along the way as I go. So this is kind of just like a note to myself, but I really hope it also speaks to someone else out there who might need to hear it. Sorry, I'm like crying like through this whole video, but going forward, that's kind of what I'm trying to do a bit more of, is chilling out, knowing that everything's gonna work out, not being so reliant on my own preparation, my own just self-reliance, which is, I know, I'm very aware that's been like kind of like my lifelong journey that God's taken me through in terms of different areas in my life, and now this is a whole totally new area, totally new territory, but God is teaching me that same lesson in a very different way, different world, different level than ever before, and it's been the most humbling experience. All right, hope this speaks to people. I don't know if this did. If it did, please let me know in the comments. I feel like I'm just a mess these days, so God is growing both me and my baby as we both learn to adjust, and my marriage too, as we're all just adjusting. I feel like adjusting is not a good enough word, just like totally pivoting everything. Someone wrote online, the best way to blow your life up is to have a baby. I just feel like, oh my gosh, everything is in a million pieces and I'm trying to put it back together in a puzzle that I don't even know what the end result looks like. I'm just like picking up the pieces, trying to figure out which pieces make sense or not. It's just a process, and it takes time and patience with myself and with this entire journey. So until next time.